Hello and welcome to Opening Bars. This is track 10 on Death Cab for Cutie's 2005 studio album Plans, which is credited to both Ben Gibbard and Chris Walla. This song has endured intense internet scrutiny for its metaphorical meaning, a pool in which I am unwilling to wade here. However, I am impressed that so many people are talking about it and analyzing the apparent meaning of the poetry. That in itself is superb. What is less discussed is the musical elements of this beautiful piece. Let's do that now. We'll start our analysis with a reduction, looking at the primary harmonic movement, using the treble clef for the right hand and the bass clef for the left hand. The time signature is 4/4, and the key signature has 4 flats. Now, you'll notice that we begin and end on an A flat major chord. There is also a C minor chord and an E flat major chord. If we add up all of the notes that we see here, we will have primarily an A flat major scale, except for a D, which does not appear. Now, normally one would expect a D flat with a tonal center on A flat, but if you listen past these opening bars into measure 11, you will hear Chris Walla introduce a D natural in the melodic line, and later a B flat major chord. In fact, nowhere in this piece do you ever hear a D flat. So, if that's the case, we have a scale based on A flat with a raised 4th degree, which would make it the Lydian mode. Chris used 2 different keyboards for this opening, one an electronic piano, and the other, for his left hand, a synthesizer, which, if you look at the live studio video, I think maybe that's a 61-key red Clavia Nord Electro 2. But anyway, as they both employ their own decay envelopes, and Death Cab uses all kinds of weird ambient sounds as a sonic canvas underneath, on our own pianos, we can simply leave the damper pedal engaged for the whole fragment to simulate the same experience. Now, that would mean that we will hear what sounds like 7 and 9 chords, but I prefer to simply recognize those melodic conventions as non-chord notes and anticipatory suspensions, and not try to classify the whole resultant sound. I do want to make a brief mention of one chord Chris plays at the end of the introduction before the drums come in, a progression from an A flat major chord to B flat major to a very surprising C flat major. It's surprising in that this chord never reoccurs in the piece or is ever compositionally developed in any way, so I'm not really sure why it's there. I would love to ask Chris that question one day if I ever meet him. Well, let's look at some rhythmic considerations now. There's a difference between rhythm and pulse. Let me explain. Because the notes are held for so long in time and space, our brains will have difficulty in trying to determine an overall pulse or heartbeat for the piece. The right hand is not rhythmically consistent, as it seems to be plucking notes out of the air and uses syncopation tied over to suspensions. It's actually the left hand which provides the internal timing mechanism, notably in measure 2. These 2 half notes alone set the framework, and it's super important to play the left hand, in my opinion, as perfectly in strict time as possible. And if you watch Chris play this in the live studio recording uploaded to YouTube, you can clearly see how precisely he is executing the left hand. The right hand can have much more freedom, but your brain will hone in on that left hand desperate to find a point of reference. Let's play the left hand with a metronome, and then without. Let's see if your brain can still accurately process the pulse without the benefit of the clicks. And now without the metronome. The right hand, on the other hand, can really be playful on where it sounds within the frame. I'll play it two ways now, with differing right hand note placements, but still leaving the left hand parallel fifths perfectly and rhythmically regimented. See if you can hear the differences. And now a little bit differently. There's really not very much I need to say about technique, in that the attack and release, dynamics, velocity, melodic contour, none of these really matter here. All that really matters is where the notes appear in relation to the left hand and to each other in time and space. So what that leaves us with then is some form of enrichment. What I would suggest is to take the opportunity to build your own melodic patterns using the harmonic movement as a base and sticking to the A-flat Lydian scale. While I highly encourage noodling around, I would also like to stress how important it is to be deliberate in your thinking and reflection upon what you are doing. Ask yourself directed musical questions, ones like, is my melodic motion conjunct or disjunct? Am I generating musical engagement by offering patterning and sequencing? But when can I offer suitable variety and novelty? What of the rhythm? When am I playing on the beat, and when is it syncopated? What kind of motifs will build a thread through my improvisation, and which ones will just make it sound uninteresting? Take some time to thoughtfully explore your sonic landscape. Oh, and leave the sustain pedal engaged the whole time. It's not often you get a chance to do that, so by all means, enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed your lesson today. Remember, don't just play notes, make music. Until next time, thanks for listening.